Petite.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Joe and Kelin, Youngstown's Talk Channel.
Good morning.
Monday morning. How we all doing today?
Still going strong. No added sugar.
Really? Did you get over the brain fog part?
No, not fully. Well, what it is like I can't remember the name of people and things. Is really where I'm struggling. Like I'll be like, and it's a name I know. I think it's getting a little better.
Okay.
A little better.
Yeah, it's either really drawn out when you don't, when your carbs are still pretty high and whatnot, but
yeah, carbs are probably still high.
Yeah.
It's really the added sugar.
Well, you're not going to like being right on the edge of that and being stupid all the time without taking the jump to the other side. Your body will adapt. It'll just take a really long time.
Like, I'll go to read something and I'll read in my brain a totally different word than what was there. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I can't read. Yeah. I'm like, what is wrong with me? There's like some like underlying nausea that kind of is just lingering here and there. The worst was Thursday night. Thursday night, like that, I got hit with one of the worst migraines ever. Yeah. Like, lost my vision, wanted to puke, pain, couldn't look at light.
Isn't it weird though? Naturally, you're almost punished when you try to do something healthier.
I was like, what's the freaking point? What's the point?
Well, here's the deal. Nature wants you to die and deposit all of your value back into the soil. So it says, no, eat, keep eating. We need to scrape you back.
Yeah. I even we went to the grocery store yesterday, which was a much longer process because I read the label of freaking everything. Yep. Everything we bought, from tomato sauce to condiments to everything. I was like, what's the added sugar? Nope, not that one. What's the added sugar? Nope, not that one. And so it was great, but I was like, I need something that I can turn to if I do get an intense craving, like something that is no sugar, so that I won't slide into just, I'll just eat this cookie. I'll just eat this whatever. So last night, we found a box of gluten-free, sugar-free, keto-friendly cookie mix. Mm-hmm. Just don't eat cookies. I don't know what that was, but it was not cookies.
That is exactly the point. It's like the stevia people who are like, I want to still pretend I'm eating sugar, but no, just your body doesn't need it. So why give it something it absolutely doesn't need? I
tried a sugar-free Reese cup.
Well, listen, so the SNAP benefits in Ohio started disallowing soda and sugary drinks to be purchased as part of SNAP. And it makes the world go crazy when we start taking a charity benefit, right?
Yeah.
You can't get your shit together enough to be able to pay for the things that you eat. Fine, we're charitable and we'll help you with that. But there's some guidelines what I am the taxpayer is willing to pay for. So I'm an asshole when it comes to that. And I don't want you to kill yourself, right? I don't want you to eat a bunch of food that's going to kill you and make you
unhealthy. Or be in the hospital all the time.
How about giving you this stuff so that you don't die of starvation? The charity should be equal starvation. But all these idiots out there, they take exception to it. Like, why do you take all pleasure away from people? They're already downtrodden and suffering, whatever. Why would you take things that make them happy? And I don't understand that rationale, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
I understand it because of the way that we choose to think. We think that kindness and pleasure should be in the form of something unhealthy. Like, it's not kind to not let me eat whatever I want and to have this sugary snack or this soda. And that's life's pleasure. And it's like, no, it's not.
Like, all you secularists, by the way, you're, the fundamentals of finding morality. This is one of the, the big downsides to that is that human beings chase vice, right? Temptations. And the worst things for you are the shit that tastes the best. That's metaphorically and literally. And so without guidelines, guardrails, making some kind of principle higher than what you feel or what makes you happy, you are going to be, look at our obesity rate in the United States. You know how that happened, right? It's not the stupid healthy food is too expensive trope, right? It's not that at all. What it is without guidance, you will go what feels good, and what feels good is toxic to you and makes you unhealthy. And that's it.
And there's a whole industry of people trying to make the food addictive So you quite literally can't stop, or you have a very difficult time
that is
stopping.
blaming the dealer, right?
You shouldn't have it at all. But I'm saying you even have that working against you.
Oh yeah, in culture, right? We celebrate vice and we make it almost sacred. Your vices are your sacred, and anybody who doesn't do that ends up almost going to sort of like a religious version of that.
Yeah.
And so back to the SNAP benefits, like I am firmly with the Ohio Congress to limit even further, not just soda drinks. I mean, it should literally be a box of food that will keep you alive for the, put together programs where you have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, SNAP benefits once a month.
I don't know.
Cool. You get 30 boxes, little segments of everything that keeps the person. You got 5 people in your family. You get a box that feeds 5 with all of the basic requirements that keep you alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And people again, they want to say that it's showing them, oh, let me have this, let me have that. Like, take that away, eat only whole foods, high protein, low sugar, eat real foods the way humans were meant to eat. You tell me if you don't feel better and who's the kind person. Mm-hmm. The kind person is the one shoving poison into you and keeping you lethargic and feeling like shit every day, or when you actually have energy and you're sleeping better and your joints don't ache and you're more mobile. Then who's the kind person?
So let's do the math on the discrepancy between healthy food / processed food. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it more expensive? In the short term, absolutely more expensive. You are putting a higher volume of less nutritious food into your body, which means, right, that when you switch over and eat healthy food, your brain knows volume over substance. So if I gave you a 1 ounce perfectly healthy, nutritional diced whatever versus an entire basket of shit, and I said, if you eat this 1 ounce thing, you get the same nutritional density as all of that shit in the basket. You actually, when your body adapts to eating healthier food, it takes more of the nutrition value out of the food you eat. So you end up eating 1/10 of it.
Yeah.
But in the interim, when you first start doing it, you're still gorging yourself on too much of the nutritionally dense food because your gut biome and your body cannot even break down real food for like months.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to get more protein in me. Mm-hmm. And everything I've been reading and looking at is like, women who are trying to build muscle and do fewer carbs and higher protein, aim for like 30 something to 40 grams of protein every single meal. And I just want to puke. I'm like, I can't eat that much food. I'm eating like eggs and protein shakes and chicken and all this stuff. And I saw a girl online. She was like, you won't overdo it. Like, you'd have to hold a gun to my head and force feed me to overeat protein, because it's dense, but it's good for you, and it's protein, and it's gonna last. Like bowl of cereal and you're starving in 10 minutes, or a steak and you're good for a few hours. Mm-hmm. It lasts you all day, hence fewer calories because you're surviving off of less food. But it takes some getting used to try to do that swap where you're just like, I just ate 40 grams of protein and now I can't do it. Like, I gotta shove it in me.
All right. So, and this can't work, but I just want to say, do you think, if let's just say I took and caged off the center portion of a grocery store, right? Couldn't even enter. You could only get stuff from the outside. Now, once you started doing this, grocery stores would start putting some of their high margin processed food on the outside.
They have.
But let's pretend that they're not allowed to do it. Grocery stores have to put all the basic necessities on the outside. Could you live the rest of your life just on the outside ring of a grocery store?
Oh, absolutely.
You could?
Yeah. I was thinking about that yesterday when I was there. I mean, you have like your meats and fresh fish and things. You've got all your vegetables out there, potatoes, things of that nature.
Milk, eggs.
Yep. Your real food. Once you go in, it's interesting. I saw a section of a 60 Minutes interview recently, and I don't know who this guy was. He was like a doctor, nutritionist, something. He even said, he's like, don't eat anything you see advertised on TV. If it's advertised on TV, don't eat it, because we don't have broccoli commercials. Farmers don't have an advertising budget like these food industries do. Anything in a package, don't eat it. Like, eat a real food that you can go and like pick up and look at. and eat it. And yeah, honestly, you don't even need to go in the middle really at all. I'm like really trying to think now what we even get in the middle. Like, I don't know. Nothing unique. Sauce, maybe. But you can make your own sauce.
Think zombie apocalypse. And if the grocery stores had no workers and you just had to go get food, you wouldn't go to the, the only reason I would go to the middle aisles is for things that aren't perishable, that have preservatives in it, because the zombie apocalypse would add a dynamic. You can go to the grocery store once a week like I do. I buy enough meat to freeze, 6 days worth, and I put just what I'm eating tomorrow from freezer to refrigerator, so that the freezer makes it last long.
And everyone's gonna say, well, it's more expensive. Yes.
It's not.
If you run to the grocery store and you buy all your meats and veggies and potatoes and all that, or you go hit up a drive-through, you'll see a difference there. But how long is that drive-through meal going to last you? And how long is this going to last you when you can make dinner out of it? You've got lunch the next day out of it. You've got some snacks based off of what you do. You've got breakfast every day. You can make so many more meals out of the one trip. And when one trip to the fast food drive-through lane is just one meal, that's it.
Somebody was complaining they're an Uber driver, right? And they got tipped on the app $2. And the rest of their tip was in a bag of change, like $5 worth of quarters, nickels, dimes. And they were so pissed off. And the person wrote, like, I don't have much money and this is all I could scrape together for your tip. Thanks for delivering my food. And I'm thinking, why the F is a person that has no money using Uber Eats to get food delivered? That is the most expensive version of getting food.
Oh my God.
And should be a privilege where it's a luxury, not something that people are actually depending on.
Yeah. Oh, it is ridiculous. I think the last time I remember trying to do like a Uber Eats or something like that years ago, I was sick at home and went to order lunch. And by the time I got to the total, I was like, I'll starve. Like, oh my God. It was so ridiculous. I know people that all their meals are delivered, their groceries are delivered, and I get it. Here and there, sometimes it can be really convenient, but when that's always your go-to, I'm
most
like,
expensive version.
Holy crap, it really is. And then even if you're not doing Uber Eats, the eating lunch every day out. I mean, like, I used to be around someone every single day. They got takeout for lunch and a coffee from somewhere every day. And not only were they strapped for cash, but I had to stand there and listen every day them talking about the weight they're gaining. I've gained 10 pounds. I've gained 15 pounds. And I just take out my lunch bag like, oh, really? Tell me why that is. As I take my packed lunch out.
And the thing, like, I really pay attention like you do about what's in stuff. And I'm very deliberate about what I put into my body. So when I go out to a restaurant, I will order the same stuff I would be eating at home. And it always increases my insulin or the blood glucose. And it always lowers my ketones every single time, because in a restaurant, their job is to make you come back and make the food taste well. So things that shouldn't even have sugar in it, they put sugar in it to make it taste better. So I could have a freaking steak. Don't touch it. Don't even season it. Just give me the steak off the grill. And there'll still be sauces and juices.
I bet you they cooked it in butter. For sure. That's why it always tastes better at restaurants, because they got all kinds of stuff in it.
They make it taste good. They don't make it healthier. But anyway, back to my Uber Eats example, you could make the argument, but what about the people who have, illnesses that it's hard for them to get around? Well, this is circular logic, right? The things that are making people poor, things that are making people sick and can't get around, is because they're not leaving their house, they're eating the wrong foods, and they're buying the shit that is most expensive. You eliminate get your ass out, walk around, go to the grocery store, and you exert more effort that helps a little bit to get in a healthier state. You buy grocery store food and get healthier stuff, and then you're not so big and diabetic and obese. And so, like, either you keep going down the rabbit hole. I mean, if you're in a bad position, fine. Talk to your local church, talk to your food banks, whatever. See, Joe Midlick's
you're an exception.
You are.
Not the norm.
Yeah. If you're already in that state, you got to work like hell to get out of it. You're not just a victim who slides on the couch and then just gets to complain about your woes. get some help in the short term, help people get you into a position where you don't need all of the charity. There's so many people. The charity industry is huge because we have so many people in peril. That is a blemish on our civilization and culture, that everybody is freaking sick.
And some, not all, some choose to remain in peril because now it's easier.
Right.
Why would I change anything? I could just do this. I could just live off of
the
this.
Guardrails of the EBT and SNAP, I deliver the food that you like. What's the incentive to say, hey, my box of just necessities, I want more than just the bare necessities. The right thing isn't, let's give you more. The right is, what do I have to do more so I can get more? We got to flip that script and rewire people's brains that if you want more, you got to do something.
If we had Uber dealer and we delivered heroin to your house, you'd be like, what the hell? Why would you do that to someone? Well, I don't know. We're going to deliver processed foods and sugar to them regularly and make sure they're not getting protein and keep them sick every day. What's the difference?
Yeah. So all of our cultural wiring ends up with a bunch of sick, desperate people, and you want to feel bad for them. You want to have empathy, but at the same time, you don't remedy that by just giving in to their vices that make them even worse than they are right now.
You know what happened to us one time years ago? Because I have not always been on this path of learning how to eat. I very much was one of those YOLO, I'm going to eat because I'd rather be happy with a brownie, and then you realize you're not. Years ago, one night, we decided we were going to make, I don't know, brownies or something like that. We were just like, all of us had a sweet tooth, and my husband's like, let's just put a grocery order in and someone will deliver it here. And we picked out like brownie mix and eggs and all this stuff. Send grocery order, shows up. Thanks. They leave. And we open it and we got the wrong grocery order. And instead of the goodies we ordered, I am not kidding, kale chips, coconut water, fruit, all like the complete total opposite. And we went, wow, we should take this as a sign.
You did though, right?
We did. We were like, okay, kale chips and coconut water it is.
No mouth pleasure for you today.
No brownies. Yep. And it is too. Like you start to, it feels not maybe lonely. It feels like you're being punished. Like you said, I'll sit on the couch in the evenings now. And because I'm conscious, because I'm reading labels and watching what I eat, everything else stands out even more. So I'll see food commercials and advertisements and pizza and fast food restaurants or all these goodies. And I'll be like, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I can't eat that. And you almost start to get a little ho-hum and, oh, woe is me. Until you realize I can eat it. I choose not to. You know, like I could go right now, stick that down my gullet. Nobody's stopping me. I say I can't because I don't do that anymore. Like I'm not going to. And so it's almost like you got to reframe the way you look at it. You know, like, oh, well, we're going to have dessert and I guess you're not going to have, I guess not. Let me know how you feel tomorrow morning when I'm able to get up and be bright-eyed and you're going to be like a bag of rocks because you ate that. You know, like it feels like a punishment. It feels like we have trained ourselves to believe that if we give up these really yummy dopamine-inducing items, that we are being mean to ourselves when it is the exact opposite. We're being mean if we don't, and we're caring for ourselves if we do give it up.
So I committed fraud yesterday, and you didn't hear, you did not hear anything in the news that this was fraudulent, but I want to just basically spill my guts here and tell you that I committed fraud. Oh God. Yesterday at Mr. Anthony's, there was the pizza cook-off, bake-off, whatever it's called. And they had competing pizzerias for the best pizza.
But it smelled so good in there.
And how many slices do you think I ate?
Did you pay to go, or were you just like an observer?
I was just there, just an observer.
2.
I had 0.
I was gonna say 0.
I had two glasses of water, and I took my little voting ticket and I voted for Iana Zones without having eaten the pizza.
You did commit fraud.
I committed fraud by voting for, theoretically, who I probably would have voted for, but I didn't. But you didn't hear about you didn't hear about it in the news how rampant fraud skewed the election by people who shouldn't have voted, got in there and voted.
You voted without really tasting it.
And I collected tickets from other people and I voted on their behalf. So my son was there and I took his ticket. And really, the auditing process, they really weren't paying attention.
Did they check for IDs?
They did not check for IDs. They didn't have a way to do a recount, right? There was no way to see if a person was voting more than once. I mean, it was really wrought with fraud. If I lost that competition, right, I would be causing hell right now.
Yeah. Who won?
Reese.
And were all their votes legit?
I mean, now,
did they just have a bunch of friends
they did
come?
a vote, they did a recount and it came out the same way. So it's legit.
Did they have a lot of friends there?
I don't know. I don't know if we check for that. Like, really, in the spirit of pizza, you want someone to sample all of them, take a bite of one, and then be like, man, that's who I'm voting for. And then one person, one vote. But I didn't even taste the pizza, and I rounded up other people's votes and voted on their behalf. I'm a problem.
And what if now that winner is the only pizza served in the whole country for the next 4 years?
I know.
It's all because of you.
Yeah. But I wanted my favorite pizza place that I remember ordering at Anazones as a kid. I wanted them to win really bad. And no ill will on Reese. I mean, maybe they deserve to win, but I think Anazones should get a recount.
You're a fraudster.
I know. Bet you they can audit it and they'll pass with there was no fraud.
Did they have gluten-free category?
I heard somebody saying that somebody had a gluten-free option.
You would think.
I
would vote for whoever offered a gluten-free option just because they offered it. It doesn't even have to be good. In fact, it's probably not.
Anyway, I can't believe I didn't get Julie typing on that one.
Julie's like, it's not about checking IDs.
Now, if they wanted to make sure that it was more wholesome, they would have made sure that your vote was tied to your ID and you didn't have Bill Smith just rounding up tickets like I did. Well, they just didn't care about elections.
Did we ever get an answer from Julie? If it's not about IDs, what is it about?
No, listen, that narrative does not need to respond to such silly questions. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, you know what? All right. We'll summon Julie. Let's summon. You know what I saw online too recently? What? Granted, it was on the internet, so I don't know if this was real or not. But it was a video of Chuck Norris. Mm-hmm. And they asked him, are you a Republican? There's Julie. If you were going to jail because you committed fraud, would you have done it? That's what Julie says.
They can't. I looked at how they tallied. I looked at how they collected votes. There was no way to get caught. There's no way.
So if they were like, if you vote and you didn't eat any of this pizza, you'll go to jail.
All I did was recognize that there's a vulnerability, and I slid myself right into that vulnerability. And I don't care if they would have had, the threat of jail imprisonment.
Yeah.
I got away with it. Surely.
Yeah. Bill says, pulling schools again. It's on your feed. Yeah, Bill, I don't know if that's just a pinned thing or something. We didn't do it. They asked Chuck Norris if he's a Republican. Mm-hmm. And he said, I used to be a Democrat, but Republicans today are the older Democrats. So I'm now a Republican because the Republicans are more like Democrats used to be. And the Democrats are something totally different. He's like, they took it too far. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's almost like because those parties are a collection of people and people's priorities change depending on environment, it's no doubt that, we're not principled in any way. We are completely malleable on what we believe. So when I grew up, it was a lot about industry and workers and the labor movement, the tail end of the labor movement. And so anything that threatened the wages that they fought for and were getting, anything that threatened tariffs, importing cheap Chinese goods and whatever. And they used, no matter what, whoever supported the labor movement, I didn't care about any other politics. It was, me and my, my constituency that matters, and that's the guy that I'm freaking voting for. And now you have people that are in labor unions who are buying Chinese knockoff shit when that would have never happened. Like, so culturally, we just adapted and care a lot less about things that hurt us, because politics is we weave these narratives that make you think that you're not really hurting, the people that you are. When I think we knew more back then than we do now.
We knew more back then than we do now.
Yeah. So every labor union person would never buy outside of GM, Chrysler, Ford, right? And now go look at the parking lots of auto workers and see what people are driving. Now they care a lot less about whose pocket they're putting their money in, right? Because the comparison is a $60,000 truck from General Motors is going to cost you $60K and last 100,000, 125,000 miles before you got to rebuild shit. You can do the same thing with a Honda Toyota, and it's about, 75% of that cost, and it lasts into the 200,000s. So when it benefits me, like, I can't make the justification now of spending more money for the sake of protecting those, what my union is supposed to support. They'll let you tolerate that all day. There's no punishment. Like in the late 80s, early 90s, you pulled up in a Toyota at the GM factory. What do you think would happen to you? What you think you'd get some strongly worded letters and some razzing, and maybe your car defaced? Now we care a lot less about that.
Yeah. Julie says there are plenty of ways to get caught if you voted fraudulently. The Repubs are now second guessing the SAVE Act because those most affected are red states.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't talk much about it because it's going freaking nowhere. Like, it is going nowhere. So it's not even, this thing's going to die right where it is. It's
the SAVE Act.
Yeah, there's no way that they get cloture on it. There's no way that this is making it into law. So all of this is going to be theater.
I thought it was like getting all kinds of support and was on its way to, like, I thought it was almost done.
Well, the Democrats have said that they are not going to end debate, which means it will go on until you get 60% of the Senate to close it out. And they're never going to do that. You're not going to get 8 Democrats to come on your side. You're barely getting 50 out of 100. There's no way you get to 60 unless you do some massive trade-off in other departments and horse trade. There's no way it's going anywhere. The Democrats are not going to do it. And
again, I say, okay, I don't need to ask why. I guess I know why some of them would do it. Julie, why would you not like this? Not like, obviously, somebody who's in it, who has something to gain, who's trying to get, different voters to vote for them or something. Julie, I'm curious why you don't like the SAVE Act. What is in it that we're not seeing, or maybe that we have not discussed?
Can I answer that for her?
Yeah.
Because I heard it a billion times during that hearing. It's not about voter ID.
Yeah.
Right? It's about,
what's it about?
It's about keeping the right people voting and the wrong people away from voting. That is the charge. That this is redlining. This is Jim Crow. This is keeping minorities from being able to vote.
What? How is it keeping minorities from being able to vote?
Because according to Democrats, it is too difficult for minority groups to get identifications, either through lack of money, lack of transportation, lack of knowledge about the unicorn that is an identification that is merited, connected to citizenship. All these states broke the connection between you getting an ID and you being a citizen. So that ID does not mean automatically you're a citizen. They were giving non-citizens ID. So now the ID is even not good enough because now we require it to be on a federal level. California, for instance, a lot of people who aren't citizens have the ability to drive. So if I showed up with my ID, you would expect that they're not going to give IDs to non-citizens, right? So now you have to increase and say, okay, what documents exist that will prove that you were a citizen? If you're born in a hospital, you're going to have a birth certificate. Boom, hard to get. Have to wait for it. It's a little bit, $25, $30 to be able to get. Passports. They really care about who you are and identity of where you're from when you travel to other countries. So so there's only so many pure forms of identification that haven't been polluted with offering it to non-citizens. So that's why the extreme is you cause the problem by polluting what would be good documents to prove citizenship, and you're kind of left with 2.
So we would have to assume then that most minorities vote Democrat. Most minorities are impoverished or living in areas that for some reason are never near a DMV.
right?
Most minorities can never travel or get on an airplane. That sounds a little wrong, doesn't it? Like,
but
why are they offended by that?
But it's an uncompromising narrative. That no matter if you say things, it doesn't matter. They will repeat it over and over.
Yeah.
In the hearings, they could say, "We've got, some contingencies based on what you just said," and they won't know what to do with it. That doesn't process into changing narrative, and they will just repeat the thing that you just answered over and over and over. You are never going to convince any of our Democrat listeners out there, not naming any kind of names, Julie, or anybody else. You're never going to convince them that this is just, I want to make sure you're a citizen so that only citizens vote. They're going to say things like, it's illegal for non-citizens to vote. Cool. I understand you say that, but just in my fraudulent pizza thing, if you don't have ways of finding out if non-permissed people can still vote,
yeah,
we've got a problem.
It's illegal for non-citizens to vote. Okay, so now we're going to make sure that we don't let someone illegal in to vote.
Right.
That's still an argument to do it. I don't get it. I do get it.
They won't come off that narrative.
Dumb.
It's just they're going to repeat that into the ground, not really needing an answer. It's totally rhetoric, totally
D
rhetorical.
says orange man bad. That's really it.
Yeah. And these little epiphanies happen to them every once in a while. And I know that deep down inside, they really know the only reason they're opposing something is because their tribe told them to do it. And that's insulting, right? You almost feel a little, I don't know, you feel a bit bad that you didn't construct how you feel and you're getting it piped into your brain from other people. I mean, that you lose some of your free will when you know how much of what you are is like, okay, I read this thing and I don't know if it's good or bad. Who proposed it? Oh, Trump proposed it. Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, we saw a political yard sign in the front yard of someone we know over the weekend, and my husband was like, "Oh, that's kind of surprising to see that that's a Republican candidate, and they seem to be a little more on the Democrat side." And I said, "Or maybe they're just smart and they vote for the best person for the job, regardless of their political party.
Or maybe they put up signs in the neighborhood that are popular so their house doesn't get egged."
Or that.
Because, okay, all right, real question.
Okay.
Going into an election season, a primary, and you're driving by all these yard signs, have you ever been convinced to vote for a candidate because you saw their name a bunch of times? Is it a change factor that to vote for somebody because of a yard sign?
Not me, no. I do think, though, there have been people, like young people, that are like, oh, I'm going to go vote, and I don't know who these people are. They got signs. I'll do that.
So it's a dummy reminder.
Yeah. It's like I'm going to vote anyways, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I got to pick one. So here's something that's going to
I mean, it must work because
influence.
every candidate feels obligated to spend thousands of dollars to put signs out. And it's almost a couple elections. You ever have a sign vandalized?
I haven't, but I've heard of people that have or stolen or something.
Yeah, in my neighborhood I used to live was really Democrat, really. And I had some independents and some Republican signs that I had put in my yard. The one was, do you remember that one guy who ran for president? He was on Law and Order. He was an old dude on Law and Order, had a really unmistakable voice. What the heck was his name?
He ran for president?
He did.
Is he the one he was with the white hair, kind of thin, or no?
I don't think he had white hair.
Regular Law and Order?
Yeah.
Not SVU.
No, it was the original Law and Order.
And he ran for president?
He did. Well, anyway, I hated everybody. And so I was like, let's take this guy who's an actor that, let's see if he's Ronald Reagan-esque. And I put him out there, and that thing got defaced in like 20 seconds.
I love seeing the fake political signs. Like
those are my favorite.
Like that say dogs over people.
Yeah.
There was one in our area that said Wu-Tang Clan, like voting Wu-Tang Clan. I was like,
why do you think
those.
they are trying to get this passed before the midterms? Mike Johnson was caught on a hot mic saying that they're going to decrease voters by, you let 40 million illegal people in here. And the risk is that if those people get pushed into our election system, the election is damaged forever, because now they're on the rolls, and these states that are sanctuary cities will just be gateways to, killing elections for generations. So yes, 12%, that's a probably, 40 million illegals. You have 380 million people, 10% of the people that shouldn't be voting. That it's probably a little high. I'm thinking more like 8% of all ballots cast are people who have no, they don't have the permission to vote. And you take the illegal ones out of there, and now you're left with an election you can count on.
Yeah, that's like not every comment is like a haha, I gotcha. Like you said, like he could have said 12%, maybe 18 would be better, of people who shouldn't be voting.
Yes.
Like there are, I don't know. You got to look at, and Julie, I did not hear this, so I'm not saying you're 100% wrong. You may be right. I don't know. But when I hear that, I'm like, the guy is mic'd. Could he have actually been saying that on purpose in the context that made sense? It's not like a gotcha moment. It's not like I caught you saying this. He's like, yeah, I was talking about decreasing the people that shouldn't be voting.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're the only part that they're right on is that there will be people that are too stupid. There really are people out there that you could give them bullet pointed written instructions, and they're in front of them, and they still will not figure out how to leave their house, get to a DMV, right? Get a license with all the documents and be ready to vote. There are people in that group. The Republicans think missing out on that group as voters is not a big consequence, right? And Democrats are like, they were going to vote Democrat. That is a big consequence.
Yeah, it was funny when we saw those two videos of Kamala Harris when she was running. And before she was running, she said, there's a reason why our young people have, what are they called? In college, when you have like someone over your dorm that kind of like watches everybody, almost like a house parent or something. Okay. They're like, there's a reason people in this age group have to be supervised, because they're dumb and they make terrible decisions. Right. And then the moment she was running and needed that age group to vote, it was, we need to lower the voting age, and we need to respect these college educated young people because they're smart and they're going to vote and they're going to, and it was like, wait. You just called them dumb and then said, oh, this is our future and we need to let them vote.
Those votes are important.
Where's that hot mic gotcha moment there? But nope.
Yeah. And historically, young people voted Democrat.
Resident advisor. Thank you, D.
Young people voted more Democrat, and it switched, and more young people started voting Republican. And that is chilling to Democrats, because that was minority groups vote Democrat almost in lockstep. Young people, what is it when you're dumb you vote Democrat, and when you wise up you vote Republican? There's some kind of saying that
I've heard that. Yeah, like when you're young.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? But the Democrats went too far and alienated the groups. Like if they start, Hispanics are more Republican voting, minority blacks and women are more Democrat voting. And the thing is, like, when they can gerrymander culture so that they get more votes, like leaving the border open. If the people who are coming over are more likely to vote for you, you're inspired to do that, not get in the way. Those are voters that are coming across that border. Or same thing with women. If women are pissed off and hate men and whatever, and they're more, that's your group. So we're culturally gerrymandering the reasons why people vote one way or the other.
Yeah. Yep. Julie says, by every metric, there is almost zero fraud. Yeah, why can't you accept the data?
Pizza Bake-Off.
I'm saying, let's accept it. Let's accept it. There is zero fraud. There is no fraud. There's never been fraud in the history of voting. Why can't we put something in place to make sure that stays the case? If that's truly the case, still not an argument against this.
Do you see a narrative that will not die? No matter what you say to it, it will always be, there's no fraud. And once you're entrenched and there is no fraud, then it has to be. So even when you see that there is the potential of fraud, or there is actually fraud, there will still be zero fraud. I am a math person. All right. I deal with numbers all day. Do you know in probably a fraction of a percent, how many zero anything actually exists when you deal with large numbers?
Probably
right?
almost never. Yeah.
Almost never. Like it doesn't exist. Well, if you had a sample size of 10 of something, sometimes you get 0. 100, sometimes you get 0. 1,000, now you're treading. There is going to be anomalous everything in 1,000. You get to 1,000,000 or 100 million of something, there is a lot of anomalous data in that. And there are politicians and the engineers behind, voting and whatnot. They are completely capable of taking advantage of a fraction of a percent and taking that advantage full force.
Yeah. And I've used this example before. If you're driving down the road and you're like, there's never been an accident on this road ever since it's existed. No one's ever crashed on this road. I'm going to take my seatbelt off and I'm going to speed. A cop's going to be like, no, you're going to go the speed limit and you're going to wear a seatbelt. Why? I've never been in an accident on this road.
But
don't care.
But I don't.
Things are in
I don't
place.
find the logic, because it's a why, right? It's basically been dressed up as sort of like you're pleading your case with the judge. You have to have motive. Like why did this get done? And you're saying the reason is you don't like black people and you want them to vote. That's the theory, right? Not a proven theory, but a theory, and that's the charge. And then when you say, well, no, it has nothing to do with any kind of individual race. This is just about if you should vote, and I want to make sure it's harder for people who shouldn't vote to vote. Well, yeah, but that's going to affect this group. Yeah, and that's a coincidence that your group and this math overlap, but it's not specifically targeting an individual group.
Yeah, what if they said, all right, well, any of those areas, if seems that people are having a hard time, then we'll do something. We'll have transportation.
Help.
We'll have something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll start something that people can get it. People can get rides. People can get whatever they need. Maybe in some cases, if they're really hard up and they can't afford it, we offer an ID for free. Now what? Is it still discriminating? If they say, we're still going to make this a law and we'll help you get what you need to get. Then is it still the issue?
All of these people who are so inspired to defend those people. We could give them the ability to go out there and individually go help the people that you think are going to be in peril. Help them go get their driver's license. Lend them the $100 to get their passport. Take them to the to the city building to be able to get those documents that you're going to need. You have all those people that are heavily motivated that can help with the deal, instead of being like, nope, nobody's going to help them, and so let's not do the law.
And what about, we mentioned this before too, I've seen videos online where people took to the streets with cameras and asked everybody, like, is it difficult for you to get an ID? And they're like, no. Why? And they're like, well, you're a minority and you live in a city or you live in a underprivileged
like
area. And they're like,
false
no,
premise.
I can get an
They will
ID.
not die no matter what you say.
In fact, they were insulted by the idea that because they're a minority that lives there, you think I'm dumb? You think I'm incapable? Like, I can get an ID. There's nothing wrong with me. Like it was almost offensive to say that to some of these people. I'm like, I get why.
Yeah, we're paying the consequences for generations of bullshit information that's being tolerated. We just ate it up. We didn't question it because of those groups that they had a lot of power that you couldn't say uncomfortable things. I mean, the first one that I remember back in the early 2000s on talk radio was the incarceration rates for minority groups. And if you took the statistics of who was in jail or in prison, said that they were a majority of minority groups, right? And so there's tons of possibilities. Why are there a higher percentage of minorities in prison? Well, engineering, Joe, I just want at the data, right? I'll tell you, give me all the data. I'll tell you why, right? Mm-hmm. But because of these woke groups, they started taking the outlier reason, and then nobody would question them on it. They're all black because of racism. And I'm going to say, okay, well, that's a theory, but let's see the real data and see if it's really racism, or maybe it's behaviors, maybe it's culture, maybe it's some other reason. Are you open that it's not just racism, it could be something else? And because all of us data people were in the back seat, we wanted to lodge the theory, have no one be able to question it, and then all of us are walking around where we know the real reasons for things, but we can't say it out loud. And so the unpopular, or the popular theory that has no backing in science or data, it ends up winning. And then everybody's walking around like, hey, why is it that XYZ in this culture happens? Oh, it's definitely because of racism.
Yeah.
And it's a catch-all for everything that's wrong.
Oh, yeah. And it's like we see that even with like mental illness. Somebody could have a mental illness, and if you call it out, you're phobic of some kind, or you're hateful, or you're a bigot. And it's like, oh, we're all just supposed to be kind and just talk to them like this is normal behavior, when it's not. Mm-hmm. We all just have to just let them be them, and nobody say anything about how they're going down a pretty bad path and they're going to ruin their life because they're clearly mentally ill.
Yep.
Yeah. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed to call anything out. Don't be mean. Don't be rude. Let people live their life. Let them do whatever they want. And then when things go badly, blame some sort of
phobia.
Yeah. Or what's the word? System. Jeez.
You struggled on system?
System. I'm going back to sugar. I was less dumb on sugar.
No, you were more dumb.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, my kid and I were talking the other day about how often we go to the doctor and how much we need pharmaceuticals and how much, we need therapies or whatever. And I was going back thinking like how often, like when I hurt my ankle, I went to go get some x-rays. I told the doctor what I was going to do, and he just peppered on a couple of things that I might not have known about the healing time and whatever. But before that, it's probably been every bit of 5 years before I've taken any kind of drug, gotten any kind of office visit, no wellness check. I pay attention to me so much that those specializations like don't really matter all that much to me.
Yeah. Carter says if there is no fraud, then the SAVE Act should not be an issue.
It wouldn't be an issue. No.
Julie says Dems overwhelmingly agree with ID at the voting booth, making it more difficult to get what they deem acceptable ID is the issue.
Because you skirted a bunch of illegals, giving them an ID, and you're like, that's the qualifier. No, don't do any other ones. This is the one because you, for a decade, you got people driver's licenses, which then allows them to vote. You got people automatically on the rolls for voting. Like you got a bunch of illegal people on our rolls that we need to audit out of there. Like, yeah. I know why you want ID to stick, because you work so hard to get an ID that you shouldn't have, giving you the ability to vote. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Ralph says, you mean like a valid ID or passport? If you can't figure it out or don't have the will to do it, then do you really want those people to vote?
It's good. It is a good gateway. Do we want more dumb people to vote? Period.
Speaking of which, Julie, shots fired. Where's Carter? Julie says, even dumb people have the right to vote. That's how we got Trump.
So
Carter's like,
so, okay, I get it. They have the right to vote. You're not going to relinquish permission because you're dumb. But if you can't figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Then you can't take advantage of your right. So I have a right.
You're not resourceful.
So if I have the right to bear arms, but the paperwork is complicated and I have to go to the store and I can't figure it out, should somebody else make sure that I could realize my right to buy a weapon?
No.
Right? If I can't figure out the paperwork, is there any connection with maybe I'm going to use it improperly because I'm too stupid to figure out the paperwork? Yay or nay?
Oh, God, can you imagine? I don't understand this. Just give me the guy.
You let nature take its course and let dumb people just sit there in spinning silence, right? Not let them touch important things. And then if you want to coach them and bring them into enlightenment, fine. I think that's your duty and obligation, is to help dumb people not be so dumb. But yes, they have the right to vote if they can figure it out.
Julie says, again, Joe, you have given in to the false rhetoric.
Give me the false rhetoric. I've said nothing but truth.
What's the false rhetoric?
And by the way, and since do I think that Trump is dumb? The second part of Julie's question. Is Trump dumb?
No, probably not. He's a lot of things. Is he dumb?
Okay.
He got to be president twice.
Now, do you think the people that voted for Trump are dumb?
No. No.
Okay, let's define. What is dumb? I'm using the word dumb, and I know what I mean by it. But let's talk. What is dumb?
What is dumb? To me, dumb is unable to learn new things, unable to think, unable to reason, unable to survive or adapt or use skills and knowledge and observe and gain information and see how that works, how things affect the world. Like dumb, just oblivious.
Yeah, you can give information to someone and they don't have the ability to process that information with reason, logic, everything that you described. Great definition, by the way.
Thank you.
And so that's how we're using dumb.
Yeah.
So how Julie's using dumb are the voters for Trump did something, right, that they don't like, so it's immediately dumb. Go ask a voter that voted for Trump. Why did you do it? Right? And you're going to get answers because he wore a shirt that said that. So yes, there's going to be some dumb people who voted for Trump.
Because I think he's funny.
Yeah, he hits people in the mouth, that kind of thing. So you're judging the reasons, not that the capacity is there, or there's going to be some logic, might not agree with the logic or the reasons, but there's going to be some of it in there.
Yeah.
So not using dumb in the same way. But yes, I do hold dumb people accountable for a lot of mistakes, which on the Democrat side, they usually lay down justifications where dumb people, in spite of their dumbness, somehow it's a virtue in their world.
Yeah. I'll admit I voted for Trump after years of hating him. I hated the man. And then got more information and looked into issues a little deeper and read more and talked to other people that I knew supported him, who I respected as smart people. So I wanted to know what they were seeing that I wasn't seeing. I listened more. I looked at the other options I had and I was like, I can't not admit he's the better choice. All right. Am I dumb? Because I'm pretty sure I just used information given to me and was able to do something with that information.
If you said, I like red hats, then I would say, yeah, that was a dumb choice. But if you took information and you processed it through a filtering system. I just saw a lot of yard signs. I saw yard.
And I went with that.
So that's what we're getting at. So now we have our things defined. Dumb was letting millions of illegals across the border. I won't name names. But here's another deal. Like, this issue has crossed political lines in 20 years. It used to be the Republicans who wanted more immigrants into this country because of the labor, right? The labor costs were picking fruit and all that kind of stuff. A lot of agriculture couldn't have survived in that time if they didn't have access to really cheap labor. And the Democrats, right, hated the idea because they were competing for union jobs. They were slave wage labor, paid under the table, and whatever. It's only that it crisscrossed. And now the Republicans say, enough. I think it's really the definition of we went from migrant workers, which was we tolerated people coming here to be able to fill a need, a void in agriculture, to then illegal. And that's where we get the biggest hang up, where you sneak in and there's an industry that delivers you into our economy. And that's when we got wrecked when we did it at large scale.
Oh, my biggest pet peeve. And this is the biggest example I see of where we are like just manufactured to fight each other, is when we argue over people not liking or not supporting immigrants. It's funny when Julie gets frustrated and is like, it's not about voter ID. Everybody agrees on that. Can we all agree? Nobody is mad about immigration or immigrants. We are talking about people entering the country illegally and being a problem in doing so. Not an immigrant who came over here and had paperwork and came the right way and is now living in this country and is thriving and is this proud immigrant. Not at all what we're talking about. And I get so annoyed when everyone's like, oh, we got to support immigrants because people hate immigrants. That's the biggest false rhetoric that I've ever heard that is like 100% manufactured. I'm going to go ahead and divide you and get you fighting. And you don't even know that what you're fighting about.
So, Julie, this is, again, some rhetoric. Believing a proven liar is dumb. If ever on this show, she and we take things that are said and we dissect them to see what is believable. Mm-hmm. I'm not a worshiper of Trump where if he says it, then it's the gospel. Now, if I believe anything that he says, we weigh it and we say, he said X, Y, Z. Do you think he's telling the truth? Do you think this is just politics? Do you think he's outright lying? Mm-hmm. And we're not afraid to say that any of those things are possible with this guy. We don't believe it because he says it. So if you see me believing something he says, I'm not doing it because of him. Like if he's lied 5 times already. Well, the 6th time, I have a harder time believing you.
Yeah.
If you lie sometimes and tell the truth sometimes. Well, now the information is still valuable, but I got to figure out because you have a 50-50 shot of it not being the truth. And we go through processing things. The dumb part is when you don't have the ability to listen to a liar and be able to figure out if the information that you heard is a lie or not.
Yeah.
Right?
And not just the person themselves. If the information being reported is coming from a source that repeatedly gets caught for lying, and you continue to allow that to be your main source of information,
then you're not processing, and that is dumb.
Yes.
So yeah, Julie and I can agree on that it's the ability or the inability to process information that makes you dumb. And
you've got to admit this. Whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Joe Biden, whether it's whatever, the majority of us can say we've never actually met these people. Never actually met Donald Trump. I've never had a face-to-face conversation with him. I've never met Joe Biden. I've never met Kamala Harris. Never met any of these people. The only pieces of information we know them from, Adam, is what we read, what we choose to believe based on the information given to us. So you almost have to even put more weight on the news outlets, the media, the articles that are written. You got to see what they say in real time via video, via press conferences. You got to actually see what information that administrations put out themselves in writing and take that into consideration. Because if you think about it, why is it that 2 people could either love or hate someone and neither of them actually know this person? It is strictly based on information we choose to believe about them. So again, if your source of information is ever caught lying or twisting words or being a little manipulative and how they word something, I'd find a new source of information.
So I think the fraud, the technical fraud, right, is about 50% of all of the votes that are cast. I call it rampant. I call it rampant. So if you treated voting, you ever file paperwork with the government?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're not compliant with providing all of the information or making a mistake on the form or not following the rules, what do they do with that paperwork? They throw it away. You're not compliant. They send it back. And there's been times when a comma got it sent back. When people do signatures and they have to audit the signatures, how many of that list usually gets dumped out? 25% of the list is automatically cycled out because it was fraudulent. Now, fraudulent isn't accusing you of doing something on purpose. It's meaning that you counted something that didn't follow the protocol. So let's just say you made a mistake and someone gave you a pass. That's fraud to me because it got entered into a system that should have stringent stopgaps to get things that shouldn't be there to go. So if you
didn't they say if you didn't fill in a bubble completely or something, it was
as soon as you know the rules of something, you have to be compliant or it gets cast out and you got to do it again. So let's just say this has to be postmarked by X date, right? Your ballot being sent in, postmarked. But what about 2 days after? If you were filing paperwork with the government and you were 2 days late, what would happen to your paperwork? Okay. If you did that with a ballot, they'd still try to count it. So if you have a hard barrier of compliance, but you don't follow it, then what you're doing is you're creating a system that is inviting fraud to happen because if it's not strict, it's open. And if it's open, there's fraud.
Yeah, it's almost like if it's something that benefits them and they want, they'll be like, all right, you're late, but hurry up. Let's get this in. If it's something that they will have to dish out as like a benefit to you and you're late, nope, sorry, you're late.
Yeah. Banks have it figured out. If we just, I don't even use government because sometimes I think they're just assholes and they want to, deny your paperwork just for the sake of doing it. They get nitpicky.
Yes.
But banks aren't being nitpicky, right?
Yeah.
So to Democrats, a vote is just an intention, not a process, an intention. If I had the intention of putting $500 deposit in the bank, and then I walk up to the teller and say, what's required? And they're going to say something like, if you're depositing a check versus cash, or what instrument are you depositing? Okay, cool. Give you the rules for, here's what you got to endorse the back. You got to fill out this form. And then I'm going to take it. I'm going to do my part and I'm going to give you a receipt, right? What happens if you really just don't want to follow one of their procedures? You don't want to endorse the check. Are they like, your intention was to put the deposit in? Why wouldn't they do that? Why do they keep you compliant to the process?
Because that makes no sense. Because then what if you're not even...
But you wanted to.
You can't just want to. You got to actually do it.
So with the voting responsibility, becomes the voting responsibility. You have to do the responsible things that entitle you to vote and not just have intentions to vote, but actually follow the rules of voting. That's why I say 50% if you were to take strict, like you could prove every restriction down the road. If you make a mistake, your vote doesn't count. 50% of the votes will be cast out.
Yeah. Jerry says, prior to Trump running for president, everyone had their hands out for political contributions, and everyone on talk shows wanted to know if he would eventually run for president. Yeah, I remember that. Now they are against him. He's a businessman and was in entertainment industry. There are a plethora of people in all political parties that tell untruths and are always using omission or commission. Hakeem Jeffries is a prime example. Oh yeah, I love seeing all these like old interviews you see of all kinds of people that are like interviewing Donald Trump before he ever got into politics and just singing his praises and you should run and you should do this and you should do that. Okay, I ran. Oh, but you know what? We're more of a liberal organization, so
well, he was a big Democrat at the time when he was doing this, and he played the game in New York to be successful in real estate, and so he had lots of success, and he was one of them. He was involved in politics in New York. He helped out with city governments. He was an instrument of what was happening. So everybody recognized that, like, man, this is a force to be reckoned with. He is savvy as could be of getting something done. Man, we'd really love to send this guy to government so he can get some shit done. That's what the appeal was.
Yeah. And it's anybody. Once they head into that level, once they're on that playing field, you'll be destroyed. You'll be annihilated. Your character is done. You're a bad person. All they need to do is make you look bad so that their person wins.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing with how we are, but
it would even be more believable if we were in this society. This would be so nice. What a dream. If everybody had virtue and integrity and both parties actually worked together and kept each other accountable. And so when there was a liar or fraudster or bad person, they were all like, you got to get out of here. We don't play that game.
Now it's everybody, like Carter said.
Yeah.
And Julie says, Carter, I think it's apparent that Trump has lied at the whole level. We have stopped counting because it exceeds comprehension. And all right, a Trump dick move from over the weekend. Bob Mueller passed away. He was FBI director under the, I think, all of Obama and part of Biden administration. And he was a real thorn in Trump's side. They did not like each other. And Trump over the weekend heard of the death and said, he's dead. Good.
No, he didn't.
Dick move. F that guy. And everything we went through, like Charlie Kirk and the appalling responses that he criticized even at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now he is just one of them who lacks, like, I don't care how much someone has wronged you and how much you don't like them. life is so vulnerable and so delicate and so valued that even your worst enemy, I thought at one time we could come together and know that an ending of a life should be something that we put politics aside and our opinions and feelings. I was disappointed with humanity when they did it over Charlie Kirk, and I'm disappointed when the leader of the free world expresses himself in that way. It is embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. That's shameful. I hate to see that. Like you said, especially when and I've seen him in the past give props to people he fought with and be like, we didn't get along, but oh, that's a shame. Like he could have even said that. But yeah, when you take that low blow, when you're giving it and you take it, oh, it makes you look so bad.
Yep.
Carter says, kind of like I will not pardon my son. The border is secure. Laptop is Russian disinformation information.
Yeah. Carter said they all have to, not want to, have to lie. So if you want an honest broker in government, you are barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah. And people used to tell me that, like, well, how could you vote for Trump when he said this about this person? He said this about this person. I was like, I don't like it. I don't condone it. Show me someone who hasn't, and I will vote for them.
Yep.
Like literally
Impossible.
anybody.
And, and we bastardize language. So we count things that, you remember George W. Bush was accused of lying about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think he lied? Do you think he's a liar because of that? What does lying actually mean?
Lying is you knew the truth and you didn't tell the truth.
Okay, so if an advisor or somebody said something to you and told you something and then you repeated it, are you a liar? Only if you knew it was fake when you said it. So that's a hefty charge, but still he got labeled a liar for a really long time over weapons of mass destruction.
And I say that too about when people are running for office versus when they're in office. And they say they're going to do all these things, and then they can't when they get there.
Right.
And they'll say, oh, you lied to get in office. Did they? Or is it, okay, I got in, but now there's a whole lot more variables than there used to be.
And it's safe to accuse them of lying, but it's your theory and your opinion. It doesn't make it true that they are a liar.
Yeah, like, did you get there? Everything is primed for you to do what you said you're going to do, and you just don't. Or you get there and things are different now. And there's different variables and there's more information. You're like, all right, well, that's not going to work. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. That's not lying.
Right. But we're parsing this and we're splitting hairs for language, real Billy Clinton-esque. And the reality is the reason they get away with it and it's so prevalent is because you can't prove one way or the other. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. So for instance, you want to do something really bad in the executive branch. You want to sign an executive order and you read through the executive order and you're like, I can get this thing done, but I have to claim that there's a national security, right? And I have to sell the fact that there's a national security risk for me to sign it. And in my heart, I believe this is kind of far reach. Like you can make a little justification for it. And your advisor is saying, well, no, I mean, here's the premise why we think it's a set national security risk. And you're halfway here and it like, yeah, but you really want to get this thing done. And you're kind of just using the national security thing. Now, are you, in a politician's standpoint, are you concerned that you're about to take a principle and throw it into the water? Or are you like, no, that we're totally abusing the system. I'm not going to do the executive order. I'm going to do the legitimate and get nothing accomplished. So you can see how these little thin razor slices of lying that's happening.
Yeah.
That I can never prove whether or not you really thought it was a national security threat. It's made up of all lawyers. They could justify and rationalize every kind of argument until you don't even know what you really believe in. You're just a cog that's trying to get something done. So a lot of the lies that we hear about aren't real lies. They're just a symptom of the machine.
And do you think there is still information that the American public will never have access to?
Yes.
I mean, we see a lot. We're probably included in a lot more now than we used to be. There's cameras in meeting rooms now, and we have, press conferences and all kinds of stuff. We are included in a lot. But there is still information that everybody maybe sitting in that White House room knows that we will never know.
For sure. By design.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. So within government, let's use the military because the military is probably the best example. So do you think that the military are working on projects that we don't know about?
Yes.
Technology that we don't know about?
Yes.
Strategies that we don't know about?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a realm of things that we don't know. So my favorite airplane, the SR-71 Blackbird. All right. What?
I don't know. You just rattled that off like SR-71.
So that was a
Blackbird.
project that nobody knew about. It's this airplane that could fly way up in the atmosphere, and it was a spy plane that could take pictures like of a golf ball from, X amount of miles in the sky.
Wow.
Absurd amount of technology. So now we never knew about it, why it was being developed, why it was being funded, all of the things that you would think that would give the public eyes on something. They knew they couldn't let it out, or then it's not a valuable tool that they can use.
Yeah.
So they have to hide it. And there was thousands of people that knew that it existed, and we never knew it. So then they have something, they were using something we never knew about. Now, when do they have to tell you about it? There's only one time where they have to tell you about it. Could they have used the SR-71 Blackbird forever? They launch it off of Area 51. Nobody sees it taking off into the sky. They land it back in their secure Air Force base. Nobody knows it even exists. When would they have to tell you?
Maybe after the fact? I don't know. Do they have to tell you?
If one of them crashes and people are like, what's that? They'll tell you, or they'll call it a spacecraft or something like that.
Yeah.
Number two, somebody does take eyes on it. So they will then release what something was only after somebody noticed that it exists, and they have to come up with some kind of explanation. Not even real, like they could come up with another explanation.
They have to say something.
But they have to say something. So that's the military. Think of how many black box projects are in government that aren't connected with tools that we're using, they've contained where nobody talks about it. And when will they tell you about those things? When they have to.
Yeah.
And some of those things they will never have to tell you about. So they're not going to just volunteer it, right? Those exist for a reason in secrecy, and they'll remain in secrecy.
Oh, yeah. I remember when my husband was deployed all the time, he would tell me, turn off the news. Turn off the news. If you watch the news, you think you know something going on.
Know something.
Maybe this much of this much.
So I knew a government contractor who specialized in government contracts. Defense Department. Is it Defense Department of War now? It's
Department of War?
Yeah. It was Defense Department at the time.
Department of Defense.
We used to have little sit downs where he would tell me some things that I probably shouldn't have been told. And I never said anything about any of it. But I was interested in development projects when it came to technology. They were securing chips and hardware and whatever because, they weren't manufacturing themselves, but they still had to source it from private manufacturers. Oh. And the stuff they were developing, they were about the stuff that was in use today, like the planes that would fly around and the satellites you knew about, were about 15 years behind. So 15 years in one day, they're using it and you don't know about it. They can keep it secret for about 15 years before they have to tell you about it. And so that was like, how do you do all the things a business needs? You source the chips, you manufacture things, you assemble it, you have engineers working on it, you develop it and maintain it, and you have all these people that are connected with. How for in 15 years do you keep it in secrecy before the public ever knows it even existed?
Yeah.
And that blew my mind because I didn't think that was possible.
Oh, and it's funny too when people like the argument of, well, illegals aren't allowed to vote. Oh, so it must not happen. Like, you know how many things we aren't supposed to do?
Yeah. Do you think our government sold drugs to our enemies? Do you think we ran guns to our enemies?
Oh, maybe.
Do you think we committed murder in law enforcement or in national security? Do you think we've done everything imaginable?
You think we've crossed illegal? Borders into countries that we weren't supposed to ever cross?
Yeah. So in the utopia version of our government, it's all noble and virtuous, and they're all just doing good things. When in reality, the virtue side is what they market to us as what they are, but everything outside of that is a little bit duplicitous, right? A little bit nefarious.
There was this isn't even a secret because a guy came and spoke about it. When I was living down south, we were having this like business breakfast meeting, and a representative came. I don't know if it was from Fort Benning or wherever he was from. And he was telling us about a suit that they were working on in robotics and things like that, that is becoming super close to a red Robert Downey Jr. What is that Marvel character?
The guy who flies around in the Marvel
Yeah,
suit,
what is Iron Man?
Yeah.
God, are we sure I've not had a stroke?
It's not a stroke.
Oh, God. Closest thing to an actual Iron Man suit of like suit that like people can put on and go and be around like explosives and things of that nature. And I'm like, that's freaking cool.
So 1993, one of the projects that I was talking about with my my secret contact. And you can talk about it now because it's a real thing and it has been for real. Part of warfare started using microbots. This was 1997, 96.
Yeah.
So way over 30 years ago. Microbots. Okay, here's the military's plan. Create robots that were small and naked. You couldn't be seen from the naked eye.
Yeah.
Right? You can see them if you zoomed in or whatever, but
A
they
microscope.
could fly around, crawl around, and be mobile around. And their sole job was to be released in like a building. You go to the lobby and you release these microbots. They seek out a source of electronics. They crawl into the electronics like your computer tower or your phone, and they short circuit the electronics. So they basically self-destruct as soon as they get it. So you have a computer that you can't get access to and you want to destroy the data that's on there, release your microbots, they go find the data source and they short circuit and kill the electronics. 30 years ago, we had robots, mobile robots, like a crawl around, fly around, whatever.
Microscopic mobile robots.
Yes.
Oh, this is a real thing.
This is a real thing.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
How do we know we don't use this
Think
now?
about the espionage, right? Because it's only used in espionage, and you would never know what computer. Like there could have been a North Korean nuclear facility, right?
Yeah.
And we got a spy to just dump the vial, and it crawled in all the computers and disabled all of the controllers that were doing refining of uranium, right?
Yeah.
And then it got. You remember the hack in North Korea? I think it was North Korea.
I don't know.
So
Maybe.
we disabled or damaged those reactor terminals by a computer virus. But I'm thinking if you've got microbots that could take out those things and then blame a virus for having done it, that would put down a layer of cover for your microbots that actually did the heavy lifting.
Could you not have a person ingest these microbots?
And then
Jack
burp
you up
them out?
Somehow?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
Viruses, like actual viruses, not
sure.
like computer viruses,
You
but
could. Yeah. So anyway, if we're 15 years
Whoa.
behind the actual innovation curve when it comes to secret operations, you have no idea what they're working on right now. We saw in Venezuela when we took, what's his name? What was the president of
I'm the
Venezuela?
last person you should ask whose name
Anyway,
is.
we took him. We used sonic weapons. Okay.
Ah.
And so what they do is you aim the sonic weapon at someone and it creates frequencies that's worse than like a electric stick or a zapper, right? And you just fall. Like it takes your brain and all of its senses, it overloads them and you just fall. So you don't die.
Like
You
it
might-
paralyzes you kind of?
You hit the ground. So
Oh.
if I come and tase you, right, it's the same
It's like
thing, but
science fiction
you're
stuff.
sending a weapon, a sonic weapon at someone and they drop. Their ears bleed, you puncture their deal, but they don't die, right? And so we went in there and we incapacitated their military that was guarding that president with sonic weapons, didn't have to fire a shot.
But Julie, I'm sure everything you know about Trump is true. I'm sure everything we see on the news is true.
Mm-hmm.
We have stuff like this. And we believe that we know something.
Did you see the laser weapons that they were shooting at some of those Iranian ballistic missiles?
No.
They mount these lasers on the back of trucks and an incoming missile, the laser targets it and blows it up. So you don't have to do ordnance at it. The lasers take it out.
Pretty soon we'll have sharks with laser beams attached to their heads.
Of course we will.
You know what that is?
I do.
Is it so much to ask for sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads?
Thank you for that.
Let's see. We have one term to know what we're getting into. Why would he say in the second term all the things that he couldn't do? Lots of reaching for rationalization here.
I think we're pointing out the rationalizations, and we know when there's rationalizations happening, I don't think Democrats do know when they're in a rationalized state. And I would like everything to be just completely logic, boiled down to data, and so that we don't have to make rationalizations. So I went into court one time for a ticket, right? This is one of the things that I'm true to my principles. And they were like, okay, we don't really want to go through court. All we need you to do is say you did it, agree, and plead guilty to it. No points on your license and a $30 fine. And I said, I didn't do it. And I can't say things that aren't true. Yeah. And so I did not take the deal, and I paid $200 in fines, and I got 3 points on my license because I could not say something that wasn't true. How many of you are now liars who would have taken that deal, said something they didn't do to be able to get an easier punishment? I bet you a lot of people will rationalize that it's not a lie when I'm truly willing to pay the consequences for absolutely telling the truth. Or in your favorite crime show, the prosecutor says, hey, just plead to this and we'll knock 10 years off of the sentence. You don't take the deal and it goes to trial, you could get 70 years.
Yeah.
Would you tell the truth or would you lie? Are you principled enough to not tell a lie when there's rationalizations for lying for your own benefit?
Yeah. If you truly believe, no one will believe you. I remember I was in first grade, I believe. And we've talked before how I was a good kid. I was terrified of getting in trouble. Didn't like getting in trouble. Didn't want any part of it. And I'm playing on the playground, a little first grader. And all of a sudden at the end of recess, this kid comes over with a teacher and he's crying and he points at me and he goes, her. And I'm like, what? And she's like, did you hit him? And I said, what? Like, I didn't know what they were talking about. And she's like, did you hit him? And in my brain immediately as a first grader went, clearly something just happened here. I don't know what's going on, but he's upset and she looks mad and they're blaming me for some reason. And if I lie or they perceive me to be lying, it'll be worse. So I said, yes, I didn't hit this kid. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But instead of saying no, being perceived as a liar and getting in more trouble, I thought simply saying yes would have been the easier route.
That's exactly right.
And
that's the rationalization is we do this all day long. And there are very few actual principled people who will tell the truth when there's a consequence to doing it. And you couple that with politicians who there's always the incentive to say things that are loosely not true to get away with doing something, because actually saying the truth is, I mean, look at RFK, look at Elon Musk, two truth tellers. And how are they perceived when they're just saying the reality that's in our world? I remember, I've told this story before, I think, but some people maybe haven't heard it. Years and years and years ago, my husband showed me an old newspaper article of a mission he was a part of. I don't know what country they were in, but the article said friendly fire accidentally kills some of our allies. A person from this other country that was helping us, we accidentally had some friendly fire and we killed them and we took them out. Oops. And my husband's like, you know what actually happened? They turned on us. This wasn't friendly fire. We didn't accidentally kill anyone. We're out, we're working, we're on this mission, and they turn on us and start shooting at us to kill us. So we returned fire and killed them. And I said, well, that's not true. This article is totally false. Why would they not say that? Why wouldn't they say we had every right to kill them? We should have killed them. They turned on us. We were defending ourselves. And he's like, it is an easier pill to swallow for the American people. They would rather hear, oops, we made a mistake, than, oh my God, this situation is so dire that we can't even trust our allies and we can't trust these people and everybody's against us. Nope, too scary. This article is an easier pill for the American people to swallow, and that's what was printed. Yep. Completely false. Yep. But we think we know something because we watched the news or we read something about somebody. I am firmly believing that there is more illusion in theater than actual truth in everything that we see concocted in politics, media, all of culture.
And then, you put in that bias of somebody can gain something. I'm in the pocket of somebody. So I'm going to print this lie or half truth, or I'm going to word it in a way that makes you think something. And then again, and that's our source of information, having never met the person that they're talking about or writing about. Or I can edit a video. Now I can make it seem like they said something. Like I was just saying, Megyn Kelly pointed out a 60 Minutes interview. Who used to think 60 Minutes is the epitome of news? That's where you get it. It's a 60 Minutes interview. I sat down and I watched two people have a real conversation, so I know something. When they showed how edited it was, the interviewer asked a question and they showed Pete Hegseth answer, and that wasn't the question he asked him. They edited it to look like that was his answer. But we think we know something. It's a shame.
Yeah.
They should be locked up.
Honestly, that gives us fodder to talk about things. It just helps for other people that are on the other side of the conversation to hear that there's real thinking that goes through this. And we're not narrative speakers, parrot speakers. So again, it gives us lots of stuff.
And that's why I say things are manufactured to get us fighting, because Julie didn't say, whoever voted for Trump, I feel like you've got some bad information. Whoever voted for Trump, I feel like maybe your sources might be manipulative. I think maybe you haven't seen what I've seen. No. Julie said, whoever votes for Trump is dumb. You attacked people and got them mad. And then what's going to happen? Carter's going to say Julie was dumb, or someone else is going to say, Julie, you can't do something. And what is it? Now it's a personal attack on two people that don't know Trump and don't know these news media organizations. And now they hate each other and they're fighting each other. When really, it could be that two different people got two totally different views or sources of information. But as long as we don't call that out, don't call the inconsistencies of all the information, call each other out and fight each other and ignore all that.
And that ends conversations. We're all about having them. So what if I started a business deal with, hey, Kelin, you want to do some business together? It's not every day that I get to do business with a dumb person. So how well do you think the conversation is going to go from that point?
Not well.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you think somebody is dumb, and I do think that Julie thinks that Trump voters are dumb, I need I want to say it. I just can't call you dumb because that's improper. But if I can tag it to a popular thing, I could slide in an insult where it's socially acceptable. I want to call you dumb so bad and wait for my moment. And then they're like, Trump, that passive aggressive, like, she knows you probably voted for Trump because you outwardly said, and then she can say, without naming you specifically, wow, those Trump voters sure are dumb, is a way of saying, hey, Kelin, you're dumb.
Yep. Now, who am I mad at? The information that Julie watched that may or may not have been biased or an outright lie or manipulative, or maybe she saw something that I didn't see and maybe she got a good source of information that I didn't see. No. Now I'm just like, oh, Julie's a jerk.
Listen,
I don't think that, Julie. It's an example.
We've been picking on Julie way too much during this program.
We love Julie.
Julie, I'm sorry. Julie.
Julie says, I do not turn on my TV more than 2 hours a month. I do not watch news. I hear a headline, then research it. I get my news from independent journalists, government, docs, BBC,
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera, and a lot of right-wing journalists. I probably hear more Fox and right-wing news than left. I've been trying to educate Carter for years. I love Carter.
See, it's a love fest.
Yeah, Carter says, Julie is very smart, but has the side effects of Trump derangement syndrome. And he says, I love Julie too. That's because we're all friends here.
We are.
And we can razz each other.
It's a natural occurrence that when you take an entertainer, who's that? That outspoken actor said he was going to move out.
Which
one? Action movies. De Niro. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking De Niro. I loved De Niro. I love De Niro movies. When he got politically motivated, like you almost get a filter of him. Now, when he makes a movie or makes a statement, he could be using all of his skill sets. There's part of my brain that now punishes him from doing something that I disliked. And I will more harshly judge his body of work from this point forward and be more likely to say he's washed up or he's lost his edge or whatever. Because now there's something in me that doesn't like him like I used to. for instance, we'll use Julie again because we're not going to pick on her anymore.
No offense, Julie, but we need a name, and you're here.
If you come to the conclusion that there is nothing appealing about Trump and you don't like his character, not only are you offended more harshly with the things he does, because you already don't like him, you've already put him in that camp, but then other people who say, yeah, De Niro's work was really good, right? That movie was really good. You want to tell them what you know, that no, De Niro's not as good as you think. You need to change your thing, because my insight is he's a real jerk, and he doesn't play on the same playbook we are.
Yeah. And I hate that too, because I'm the same way. You know, like Pink is really outspoken, and I used to love Pink, and I'm like, don't let it taint me. Actors, all kinds of people. And like on the radio program that I do for Down South, I don't talk politics at all. I have very limited time to speak, and I just make it entertainment. And I find myself like talking about artists, and I just say something good or interesting or something they're doing, and it's totally neutral. In the back of my brain, I was like, oh, and by the way, they're stupid and they said this, and I'm like, oh, I'm like salty about it. And I don't want to be salty about it. I want to just like hear a song and like it, or see a movie and like it, and not have it in the back of my brain that actor or that singer said something that I think was way out of line. It's hard to do.
When the musicians say, if you voted for Trump, don't listen to my music.
God, I hate that.
You have two choices. You're like, fine, I'm out. There's a lot of other good music. Or you're like, I'm going to rebel. I'm going to listen to your music. And then I'm going to tell you that I listened to it. And it's going to make you mad. Which are you?
I'd probably say fine, then I won't.
Really? You get into it?
Because I don't want to. If I go ahead and give them money for saying that, let me go ahead and support you. Like, it was funny. I saw John Leguizamo. Remember him? Remember John Leguizamo? He's a actor, comedian. You would know him to see him. Anywho, he put out a video. It was like, if you support Trump or you like Trump, don't come to my shows. Don't buy a ticket to my show. Don't blah, blah, blah. And my first reaction was, I didn't even know you were still working. I didn't even know you did shows. I didn't think you've been relevant since the 90s or early 2000s.
So strategy is,
okay.
Dude, your ticket sales are down, your concerts are waning, your people don't realize that you're still working out here. I know what I'll do. I'll go say something unpopular. I'll piss off people, but ticket sales don't matter anyway. That's waning.
Yeah.
But then there's a bunch of people who are like, ooh, he hates Trump too. I'm going to go to his show. And then his manager's like, brilliant. You found relevance in your hatred.
And then I want to know if these artists will do it again in a few years. If Trump did something you really disagree with, and you're like, don't buy my albums or come to my shows if you voted for this person. Okay. Well, in like a few more years, when somebody else is in the White House and they do something you don't like, I hope you better do it again. If you voted for this person, don't come to my shows or don't come to my whatever. Or if you voted for someone, you, the artist, voted for someone and they did something horrific, are you going to be like, if you voted for this guy, don't come to my shows and don't come to my... It's just so stupid. And what happens if you got to walk it back? Like I've said, I used to say all kinds of things about Trump and what I hated. And I used to say all the time, I'd pay good money to watch someone punch him in his face. I just think he could use that. And then I end up voting for the guy and defending him in certain instances. So what if I was a celebrity that years ago was like, don't support me if you like this guy. And then years later, you're like, oh, I had some misinformation.
Mm-hmm. Well, the safe play, the Jordan play is don't talk politics, you alienate half your customers, and I want everybody buying your shoes. But then the other strategy is, what if you find out that the people you're about to trash don't buy your shit anyway? Then it's a real safe play. Then you motivate the people who do support you to support you even further. It's not always dumb. So we say stay in your lane and for entertainers because it's annoying to us that I might have liked you or given you a pass. But now that you said that, like, there's so many more options that I could support.
And I like a lot of people like Gene Simmons, Dolly Parton. Have you heard their remarks? Dolly Parton, they wanted her to say something political one time in an interview. And she's like, I know where you're going and I'm not doing this.
Yep.
She's like, smart. I don't talk about people. I am an entertainer. I am here to entertain. I want to bring people
you're
together.
Doing your Dolly Parton.
That is what she said. She's like, and I'm just not going to talk about people. And I was like, I love little Dolly. That's such a good answer. And Gene Simmons, he got annoyed too. And he's like, what? Look what you're doing right now. You're trying to start a fight. You're trying to be divisive. Who am I? He's like, I stick my tongue out for a living. I put makeup on my face. And you think anyone should give two shits about who I voted for? Are you kidding me? And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Refreshing.
Yes.
Let's see. Any entertainer that gets into politics just passes a 50% of the audience. Michael Jordan was smart, and it pisses you off. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I watched the movie this weekend, by the way.
The Ryan Gosling one?
Sure did.
What is it? Hail Mary?
Project Hail Mary.
How was
It
it?
was so good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll start off with my criticisms first, because there are some.
Yeah.
If you are into science and you know how things really happen, you will have to get over a couple of things and suspend the science part of your brain, because some of the actions that happen in the vacuum of space just won't happen in the real world. So the inaccuracies in certain things, great appeal for watching it and entertainment value, very bad for how it would actually really go down. My son says that they got more right than they got wrong, so it's still acceptable to him.
Okay.
But so that's my only criticism. And
so keep in mind, not real. It's a movie.
it is a movie, and
some inaccuracies.
all right, let me give you a couple of more like questions that I still have. Now, if you are going to see the movie, I will try not to do any spoilers
Spoiler alert!
at all, because it is a very good movie, one of which I will watch a second time. I may buy this one after I've seen it. There are very few movies that I would do a repurchase on. This is one of them. So everybody kind of knows that Ryan Gosling's character meets up with an alien creature, Rocky. Rocky's like the best favorite character in a movie, way better than what was his name in
I'll say, is it like Groot?
No, not Groot.
I am Groot.
There's some
I am
Groot. But no, I was thinking more, what's they send the Wally was the robot, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the first things that they try to do, again, if you don't want spoilers, just mute me right now, is there's a communication barrier. Okay. And Rocky's talking Rocky language and Ryan's talking, English.
Hottie
and
language.
And they can't communicate. They don't know which each others are saying. So they tried to do things that got each other to say words, and then he would use a computer to translate those words. And I got so hung up that how did you get to the first word? And I'm trying to think, if I ran into an alien, like if I held up everything I'm going to hold up to you, you're not going to know what it is anyway, because you're not going to have oranges or you're not going to have pigs or whatever. You're a freaking rock, right?
Yeah.
And one of the first things that he did was he held up a clock, right, that had all the numbers, and he was time was the first thing that he started with. And this thing didn't have regular vision. It had echolocation. So it just saw textures and things rather than whatever. So he outlined the numbers on the clock so that they were textured, that you had a little, instead of just being printed on the clock, it was raised a little bit so he could see the numerals, right?
Yeah.
And,
but doesn't know what numbers are.
Right. So how did they get, like, it wouldn't know what a clock is used for. It wouldn't know what
a number is.
But somehow they arrived at like the numbers being the first, volley of words that they use. And then it went from there. I had so much hang up with the language part. Good strategy. I don't know
they're
how.
like, this is only an hour and some change long movie, and we got to get past this language barrier somehow.
Right, or else they're just going to be zipping at each other. And
that is why as a kid, I was so fascinated with Helen Keller. You ever learn about her or anything? Yep. And if you don't know, the way Helen Keller learned to communicate, because she was deaf and blind, is her teacher would sign letters via American Sign Language into her hand and let her feel it. Like why she would feel a pinky and a thumb sticking out, and that was why. But you don't know that's why. You just know this pinky and this thumb is something, and then she would touch water and then sign water. Touch it again and then sign water. I don't know that that's a W and an A and a T and an E
Like,
and
what
an
was
R.
the first exchange? Like, did
Yeah.
she have any hearing, or was she just
I think she lost it as a baby.
right? But when she was learning words and whatever, do you think?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, if she had a little bit of hearing, then you
Okay.
could have probably added to that, because that's a you know.
Well,
a
that makes more
complete-
sense then, because I was like, how does this? I mean, she grew up to be a functioning, intelligent adult, just learning what a hand feels like with touching things.
Now, do you think historically we dress up storylines that makes it a more
I mean, they made it a
awesome deal?
movie, so probably.
what if she had hearing longer and she used the hearing and then it depleted, kind of a thing? I always wonder, like, how really good is this in a historical?
Well, let's say she had hearing and no sight, so she's
it would
still
be easier,
feeling.
but it would still be easier because then you can describe, you can hear language and pick up things easier. But if you had no input on sight, no input on hearing, that would be a really
have
rough
to look
deal.
into this and see if she had any
Yeah.
hearing. Because they did, like in the movie, Anne Sullivan is saying it,
Right.
but I never knew if. But Helen also felt her mouth.
Yeah, you
So I
can
don't
make
know if
up
that
some
would
stuff
be-
by using other senses, but if there's one that you are just completely lacking in,
Yeah.
you can't fill in those voids if you just don't have one or the other.
But it's
Or easier.
fascinating the way like communication can work or develop, or Temple Grandin I've always found interesting too. She was highly autistic, could communicate, wasn't deaf and blind or anything of that nature, but brain worked totally differently. So
Right.
information had to be given differently and then make sense of it. And then Temple Grandin grew up to be a college professor and revolutionized the cattle industry based off of a completely differently working brain. And it's so cool.
Well,
It's so
my kid
fascinating.
tried to make me feel better. He consoled me during the movie because he knew what I was, messing with. And he said that Rocky was from a civilization or a species that would just know all languages. And he already knew what a one was. He was, because Rocky didn't get translated, right? So Rocky knew everything that Ryan was saying, but Ryan knew nothing that Rocky was saying. So he put two and two together that he just might be some mysterious species that knows all information or whatever. I'm not buying it, but still.
You're like, that's still a stretch. Julie says she lost sight and hearing at 19 months.
Yeah. So that's
Complete hearing, complete sight. Yeah, I think so.
And the other thing, like, he was in the vacuum of space, and they were probably traveling a good clip, and he had to use a rope, right, in space. And you've watched spacewalks and whatever, and when you have something in space, there is some movement that happens with it, but just based on what you know, what happens to rope when you're out on a spacewalk, and does it kind of fall to the ground like there's gravity, or
And
does
it
it kind
just
of
sorta
just
hover?
like it's floating in the waves?
Yeah.
Well, he needed to throw some rope down the outside of a spaceship, and he threw it, and it behaved just like rope would on Earth, where it hit the
Like
ground
there
and
was
slid
gravity?
across, like there was gravity. Now centrifugal force plays a big role in the movie, where you can spin a spacecraft and replicate gravity to a point. But I don't think I want to test it. I want to go outside.
Was he himself floating?
No,
But
he was
the rope
he
didn't?
was tethered to the spacecraft. So he had a clip on the side of the spacecraft, but the rope didn't behave, I don't think, like it would have.
Like
in
it was
space.
a movie inconsistency?
Yeah, a little bit. If they'd have just have it not go so flowing like it was going through our atmosphere at our gravity, it would have been believable.
See, I noticed dumb little stuff. Like I'll notice inconsistencies in the character's hair.
Mhm.
I can tell time has passed from this shot to this shot. Their hair is a little longer.
I am the expert at this, because for those of you, not to spoil the movie magic, but chronologically movies are never shot. The scenes are done at different times in different orders.
Yeah.
And there are people on set that are supposed to pay attention to those things. So every once in a while,
little thing.
you'll notice a glass is more full or empty than it was in the previous 2 seconds. A clock was reading here, and the clock moves all of a sudden. These little things that they miss,
Yeah.
I pick up on because I notice those
Yeah.
freaking details.
Oh yeah, like their hair is a little more curled and now it's straight. It's a little longer than it was. You know what I am like crazy good at is hearing a voice of a character and knowing whose voice that is. I'm pretty darn good at that. Like, oh, I know that voice. Oh, that's so and so, and I'll Google the cast that I write.
And yeah, so continuity, I point them out. It annoys everybody I watch movies with. I get hung up on scientific things that are improbable. But it's a movie, Joe. Just freaking enjoy it.
You like Boondock Saints.
I do.
The scene in the beginning where the boys are sitting at the bar, the Irish bar, and the Russians come in, and he's like, "Party time's over, get out." And then Rocco is like, "What if I told you that you're?" And he says something really bad, and so the Russian guy punches him. And as Rocco has been punched and is falling, you hear him still talking. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I never noticed that.
Oh, he is still saying, he says like, your mother is so blah, blah, blah that she, and he's doing a mother thing. And you hear that she blah, 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 and finishes the sentence as he's like falling on the bar.
No, he was dedicated to the bit.
I was like, you can hear him talking when he's not talking anymore.
But anyway, so I give it 5 stars. I think Project Hail Mary was really well written. I think they did a really good job on the storyline, the interactions, the character development. Some of the inconsistencies in the sciences got hung up on. And let's see what else.
It'll be interesting to see too if the general public likes it, if the Academy does not.
It was
fun.
It was too fun and an unserious movie to really be considered for Academy Awards. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't like profound. It was just a fun movie to watch. But there should be a sequel to this one. I don't like sequels, but there should be one to this.
I don't know what this person is talking about. I don't know if you want to address it.
No, I'm skipping it.
I don't even know what you're talking about because we've literally read every comment. But yeah, it is funny when like a film will come out and it gets like all these awards, or like critics, I guess you could say, will love it. And then the general public's like, eh? Yeah. And then vice versa. Do you think that's like manufactured or by design, or?
And that's sort of like how that industry evolved. The critics were renowned they were harsh. And so if something was really good, then that was something the public wanted to go see because we wanted their opinions on it. And because they had such force in the industry, their opinion mattered. Then it was polluted with just the politics and that part of it. And so it went from, if they say it, I'll go watch it, to if they say it, I'm staying as far away from it as I possibly can. Yeah. And, so I know the theater people, the theater kids out there.
Theater kids.
They look at movies way different. Like they love a movie that makes you mad and pushes on something instead of being entertaining. I think our tastes have changed where that's our escape. We want to go see a movie that takes us to a different place, and then we can behave and think differently. And then went on this whole generation of lectures and trying to control your mind. And I didn't go to a movie for someone to lecture me. Right?
Yeah. Oh, one of my good friends went to school for film, always wanted to be a filmmaker, has done all kinds of stuff in the industry and worked on projects and stuff. Like I remember when we were younger, I'd like go over to his house and be like, hey, what are you doing? And he's watching a movie frame by frame on like a Saturday and making notes of every single, and then pause it, and then like making notes of like every little thing. Like he's super into film. And he used to say I was so stupid over the stuff I liked versus what he liked, because, oh, this shows this and that, and it's genius, and look how this was done. And I'm like, that movie's dumb and boring, and I don't care. I like this movie. It's entertaining. He's like, you would, like uncultured swine. And I was just like,
yeah, and I think everyone that like creates a hobby and they get really deep into it and they see appreciations that no one else does that are just, peripherally involved or peripherally entertained. Like I could watch a football game, right? And I'm not studying the plays. I'm not keeping track of what offense they ran against, what defense. I'm really not, because it's not my hobby of knowing it. But there are some people who are like, come on, you got 2 DBs on that side and you should be doing this.
Yeah.
And those details matter to them. And they think, you're so ignorant to the fact that this is even happening. The game's way more dynamic than you give it credit for. And I'm like, I just want to drink, eat, and enjoy the game. I'm sorry, I'm not digging it like you are.
And I last several years, I got really into acting and watching actors. And so now it's fascinating. The smallest little nuance is so interesting because something that we would see in a scene that is just like it just sort of went in and out of your brain. I was like, that was on purpose, though. They looked that way on purpose. They stuttered on purpose. They, like all these little tiny things of the way they said a sentence. And it sounded natural, like anybody would say it that way. But every inflection, everywhere they looked with their eyes, every gesture, everything was on purpose and action. And I was just like, when you look at it that way, it's like, man, like people are just so interesting. I used to say that about defending the fact that I have a communications degree, and everybody used to say it was a throwaway. And I'm like, you have no idea the things that we overlook on a regular basis and how it affects stuff. Like I love listening to two people talk to each other that are confused and they're not on the same page. And the third party is like, I know exactly what's happening here. I see exactly where the disconnect went. I know what you mean, and I know what you mean, and I see how neither of you know what the other means. It's so interesting to see stuff like that.
Well, and we only really notice it when it's absurdly good, like Joaquin Phoenix, right? That's a person that knows the craft of acting, where you think like, oh, I just go in and read a script and I behave like normal people do. And that character is a normal person. I'm a normal person. And I could totally do that. That's easy. But then you see somebody take the craft to its highest degree, and you watch them in one deal, even like Billy Bob Thornton. That's another one. You'd never think that he's such a good actor until you take roles where he was playing this type of character, but then he switches. Like Zendaya is another one. Like, could play so many dynamic characters. I'm like, that's the same person. What did it take? What practices got them to the level where they could do that?
Like, you ever see What's Eating Gilbert Grape from the 90s? People believed Leonardo DiCaprio was a special needs actor.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, he's just that good. And like every little nuance or something he did. Julie says Meryl Streep, amazing.
Same thing. Yeah. These people, they learned and did the craft, and it was exceptional. Now, in modern, we're not in a merit era, right? We
got 5 minutes.
Okay. We're not really taking the best of the best and the mechanics. Like, we're taking that same principle, and to be edgy is not to be a dynamic character that's capable of us. Being edgy means me taking a club and bashing you over the head with what I want you to know about. And it's so lazy as far as art is concerned. And it was in paintings and that kind of expression. It's always supposed to be confrontational and make you feel a certain way because it's an emotional expression. In art or in movies and music, it's supposed to make you feel a certain way. And, you listen to music and you're a kid and you're frustrated and your parents are stupid and whatever. It's cool to be able to listen to music where that character that's singing that song is just like you, and you can.
Yeah. Yep. But not make it so obvious. Like I always say, I like the show The Pit, but it's annoyingly obvious, the agenda they're pushing. And it's like, oh, they do so many things well, but
that thing you can't get
They
over.
gotta fix that.
Yeah.
Don't make it so obvious what you're trying to push onto the audience.
Yep. All right. Well, that's a good one. We're going to get out of here for today. Everybody have a good one. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and